And my guest for today, the one and only, Dashone Dunomes, my friend. What is going on with you?
I'm amazing, brother. How you feeling? How's everything
I'm
on
good.
your end?
Everything is good over here. No complaints, no complaints. Go ahead and tell the people a little bit about yourself and what you do and everything.
Well, after that illustrious introduction, my name is Deshaun. I'm a sports writer here in the city. I'm also one of the publishers for Rivals.com, among other sports outlets. In addition to that, I'm homegrown New Orleans, and I'm excited to be here.
He's also a St. Augustine alumnus. Yes, he
I
is.
think they
And I'm
figured
not going
that out, a long time ago. I'm not even going. I was gonna leave it alone, but since you brought
I,
it up, a
I
proud
want to go.
St. Augustine alumnus.
There you go. There you
Proud,
go. I'm not.
proud.
Look. I'm not in a clowning mood or today. I'm not.
I
I'm
can
in a
lay it.
good, generous mood. Because I would have said purple chumps, but I said a proud St. August alumnus.
Man, man. One of these days. One of these days.
so
Let's see.
let's get right. Let's get right into it. So we are in the second round of the LHSAA high school football playoffs. And let's start off in 5A.
Okay.
Okay. And Crescent City Sports was broadcasting the game between John Ehret and Thibodeau, while My TV was broadcasting the game between East St. John and Woodlawn of Baton Rouge. So certain people were able to see both games. You saw the chaos with the Ehret and Thibodeau game with the power going off at halftime. We saw sloppy football with East St. John and Woodlawn. And with all that, East St. John came back after being down 22-6 to beat Woodlawn in overtime. And John Ehret came back after being down 14-0 to Thibodeau. That sets up the matchup this week, tomorrow night, as
Mm-hmm.
the number 2 seed John Ehret is going to travel to Laplace/Reserve to take on the Wildcats
And,
of East St. John. What are your thoughts on this game?
so with all games, whether it's playoff or not, traveling to East St. John to play is always a tough matter. I mean, that's a great home stadium. However, John John Ehret John Ehret really got off. I mean, they got off scot free. I mean, I wasn't at the game. I was covering my own game. I had a Dashone football game, but the John Ehret game was initially supposed to be my game. Um, Good thing I dodged that. But you told me about the lights going out, and I heard there was a lot of chaos going on. That doesn't bode well for John Ehret. You're the number 2 seed. You got to act like it. You can't play down to the level of your competition. So I think that if there was any one of these games that possibly could have been an upset alert coming on, it would be this
Well, I am in the same boat with you. I really believe that Coach Brandon Brown will have his team ready to play. And this time,
one.
the environment, the weather conditions, I should say, will be totally different than what they were last week. Shouldn't be no rain, shouldn't be a muddy
Correct.
field, none of that. So, and then you're hosting it, you're at home. And if you ever been to a game at East St. John, you don't know what
Yeah.
you're missing, number one. I'll tell you that. But we've seen John Ehret. We've seen John Ehret be ranked high before, filled with talent, and just don't get to where they're supposed to get. And we have a John Everett team filled with so many D1 talent.
Correct.
And what happened last week when you're a 2 seed should never happen at all. To me, John Everett should have lost that game. They
Correct.
should have lost that game. Thibodeau didn't even have their starting quarterback and almost won that game against John Everett. And it's funny when I'm reading comments on Facebook from other John Ehret fans, and they keep saying, "Yeah, we the underdogs." No, when
No,
you're a
y'all 2 seed.
yes, when you are a 2 seed, there's no such thing as being an underdog. You're a 2 seed. You are projected to go far in the playoffs. That's to the quarterfinals or the semifinals. And I've said it before that I believe due to a weak schedule, they got rewarded. And, you know, barely beat teams like West Jeff and Chalmette and so on.
Sure.
But I think John Ehret's run comes to an end this Friday night. I
So we're in
mean,
agreement.
yeah, oh yeah, we're in agreement. Most definitely. Most definitely. We are in agreement. I just don't see it happening. And they want to say I'm a hater. I'm not a John Ehret hater, people. Let's get that straight. I am not. I'm a West Banker just like them. I want to see every West Bank school do well. Trust me. But I'm doing
Yes,
stuff like this. I have to call a spade a spade.
correct.
And I don't see John Ehret moving on. And Coach Reggie Rogers and his crew, they'll be back next year, but they're losing a lot of talent come next year. But I believe this is the end of the road here in 2020 for John Ehret.
Well, the thing about Ehret, it was funny you brought up. You had said that one of the fans mentioned that we're an underdog. I think that this year, obviously COVID makes things a little weird.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't a lot of hoorah surrounding this John Ehret team. Like, granted, they have talent, but nothing that made you be like, hey, this is gonna be the be all end all of all teams. Like, you're not as excited as you had been about previous John Ehret teams.
Mm-hmm.
Even less talented teams, you've been more excited about it. So I think that's where they may have adopted that mindset. May have been the underdog. I'm just not buying it. I think that you're underperforming, and I think that's just kind of what it is. I think if you recognize that, you may have some type of shot. Do you have enough talent to beat East St. John? Yes. You have enough
Yeah.
talent to beat anybody on your side to bracket. However, will you put it all together? Based off of last week, man, that is slim pickings to none. So it remains to be seen in T minus 24 hours.
Yeah. And when it comes to 5A football, there's a top tier.
Mm-hmm.
And I have 4 teams on that top tier right now. That's West Monroe, that's Acadiana, that's Zachary, and that's Destrehan. That's 4 teams pretty much every year that's getting
Mm-hmm.
to the semis or to the championship.
Yeah, we got to talk
And
about them, Dexter, man.
we gonna get there. We gonna get there. But that's what John Ehret is trying to get to. And
Mm-hmm.
you gotta beat the teams that you're supposed to beat. You gotta blow out the teams you're supposed to beat. You gotta make a statement as a 2 seed. And to me, the statement that was made was, hey, y'all really in trouble. That's just my opinion. But let's move on. What are your thoughts about Central or Baton Rouge against West Monroe? Who you have winning that one?
So I haven't had the opportunity to see Central play at all this year. They're a 7 seed. West Monroe, they're a bit different. So it's a toss up there. I don't have a favorite on where I'm going with it. It wouldn't surprise me. Central Baton Rouge and West Monroe, it's a wash if you ask me. So it could go either way. That's just
Okay,
my opinion.
I got you. I'm gonna stick with West Monroe. Since I said they would face Zachary in the semifinals, I'm gonna stick with West Monroe and defeating Central Baton Rouge. We got the 6th seed Alexandria at 11. Horton. I don't know much about them. I don't know you know much about them, but I'm gonna stay with Alexandria on this one.
Yeah, well, I think Alec there's a senior lit team this year, so I didn't get to see them,
Hmm.
but I have kept up within the region. They have a pretty solid team. I mean, that's a nucleus that just grown up with each other, and now it's their senior year. That's been on that team, so I expect them to do well. Harden, eh, nah, I'm gonna go on with Alexander.
All right, three C Zachary versus 14 New Iberia. Are we in agreement, Zachary?
Yeah, without a doubt. They lucky they don't get boat raced coming through it. So I'm gonna go with Zachary.
Me too. All right, number 4 Ponchatoula versus 13 Ruston. What are your thoughts about this game?
Okay, so this is a trap game for Ponchatoula. They haven't seen anything on their schedule. This is a trap game for Ponchatoula. It kind of reminds me the same way that Alexandria is built up. This is a heavy scene led team. My issue with Ponchatoula is they're an emotionally led team. There's talent on both sides of the ball, but when things don't work well, you can't keep it together. Because we've seen that throughout the year when things don't work well, they've literally pretty much just fell apart. And you can't have that in the club. There's no do-overs next week. Nobody's going to make excuses for you. And there's a lot of young talent on this Ponchatoula team. This is not there are older kids that are great, but they're young. They're gonna have a good team for a few years. So I'm looking forward to Ponchatoula to go ahead on and get the W. However, I wouldn't put all my eggs in one basket. Ruston has a great opportunity to steal a victory. It just depends on which Ponchatoula team shows up. It is at home, so it depends on which team shows up for this game on tomorrow.
Ponchatoula is a very, very talented team, coached by Hank Tierney, and we've
Correct.
seen Hank Tierney have plenty of talented teams. And even the word out here is, how is it that Hank Tierney only won one state championship with all the talent he had at Shaw? I don't want to say nothing bad about Hank Tierney. I don't. But that thought right there goes into my mind of all the talent he had at Shaw and has one title to speak of. One. And he's had TJ Finley. And now he has another team that's supposedly more talented. But I went against Ruston last week on the VK Jones that we were on.
I told you.
Yeah, both of y'all. Yeah, y'all did. Ruston embarrassed Hornville.
They got some firepower, man.
Yes, I did not see that coming. I didn't think too much of Hornville, but I thought due to matchups that they would match up well with Ruston. Well, I was so wrong. And the only thing with it is that Saint Amand might be the best 29th seed that we've seen in a few years. Maybe so. But I'm going to go with Ruston on this one. I think Ruston's coming down to the swamp, and Ruston will get the job done. I won't call it an upset, but I think Ruston gets the job done.
Oh, JB, that's bold, man. That's bold. But you know what? It wouldn't surprise me. I don't feel such a catastrophic thing. Like, it's the end of the biggest upset that we have in the bracket. It would be well deserved. It wouldn't shock me at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can't wait to see how this one comes back in 6 days from now. Like we'll be saying, with the rest. So you go with Ruston. Okay.
I'm going with Ruston. I think Ruston gets the job done.
Gotcha.
Now, I'm going to give you the floor on this one. Destrehan versus Dutchtown.
Okay. So I've had the opportunity to see both of these teams play. If you're asking me on paper which one of these teams should win, I'm going to go with Destrehan. If you are asking me which one of these teams will win, I'm not as confident that Destrehan will take the victory in this. And I'll tell you why. I had the opportunity to cover that game last week, and without doubt, Destrehan was the better team. Everybody knew it. Paris knew it. Everybody knew it coming into this game. That wasn't the case in the first half. Thought they were going to walk out of Destrehan. Even with the sloppy weather, it turned out it didn't look good for them. They scored, I want to say 3 touchdowns in the second half to pull away, but it was a close game, pretty much the entire game. I think it was 16-14 going into the half. But the issue with Destrehan is they have a dynamic playmaker at quarterback. Jai Eugene Jr. is his son. He's the quarterback for that offense, and he can do it all. He has really good arm talent, and he can run the ball. But if he isn't making plays, who else is going to step up for you? And I think that's the issue with Destrehan. It shouldn't be heavy laden on the quarterback so much because you have a lot of talent around the field. So I think this comes down to coaching at the end of the day. I'm gonna go with Destrehan. But I feel the same way about them that I feel with Ponchatoula. Like it is up as far as Dutchtown's concerned. They are who they are. I mean, they pretty much come out the same way, every year. They have the tools to beat Destrehan. It depends on what Destrehan team is going to show up.
It's funny you say that because on the VK Jones show, he had Jeremiah Gray of G Sports on, and Jeremiah Gray also said that he's saying Dusttown is going to win this game, and that's crazy. And it's funny you mentioned Jai Eugene Jr. I remember watching Jai Eugene Sr. His senior year at Destrehan, and he was a one man show,
Yeah, it was
and
Phillips.
one man show, and they played East St. John for the district championship in week 10, and East St. John shut him down, and pretty much it's like history is being rewritten from what you're saying. If you just shut down Jai Eugene Jr., there's nothing else around him, and that is crazy because Destrehan is
That's a
filled with.
tall task. It's a tall task, man. That guy, that kid is dynamic. I mean,
Oh
he
yeah,
is I think he's a better athlete than his dad by far.
okay,
And he's young, so it's not that a one trick pony. Like he literally can throw the ball. I mean, he threw in that game. I want to say he threw for like 260 yards, and that was when the field was soaked. I mean, they almost canceled it due to a rain delay. So
yeah,
he can pitch the ball, but it's just who's going to show up. Like what kind of play calling you going to call? We
gotcha.
know that if you're going to have it to the right hand side, this is going to be a design quarterback run. Like everyone in the stadium knows this is coming. So it just depends on how creative they can get with their play calling and let that kid do what he does.
Well, I'm gonna pick Destrehan for the win in a close one. Marcus Scott, please don't let me down. Don't let me down, Marcus Scott.
Let's go, Morgan Scott.
Lafayette versus Mandeville. That's funny because Lafayette took out East Jeff, Mandeville took out West Jeff. I'm
Facts.
gonna go. I'm gonna go with Lafayette. I'm gonna go with
I
Lafayette.
I agree. I agree with Lafayette as well. They
All
had that on
right.
my pick for long.
And then Acadiana versus East Ascension. I think we both can agree on Acadiana.
Yeah, this is like a Clemson Duke matchup. This is not even close.
Yes, indeed. Moving on to Division One. And I'm gonna start with your alma mater, St. Aug, as they put the beat down on Holy Cross.
Mm.
Now, I said on the VK Jones show, St. Aug can come out and play 4 quarters of great football. They got a great shot of going to the state championship. I watched Friday Night Football last Friday, and I think maybe we kind of underestimated or overlooked CE Bird because Coach JT Curtis had nothing but great things to say about that team. He knew their players, this and that, and he said St. Aug will have a time on their hand.
Yeah.
What do you know about this matchup between CE Bird and St. Aug?
So okay, with C Bird, there's a lot of athletes at their skill position. There's no mistake about it. You can't miss it. Um, the issue, I think, to JT Curtis' credit, having seen St. Aug, having know what type of offense they run, they match up well. Bird matches up extremely well against them. There's no position on our field that we feel like that I feel that St. Augustine has an astronomical advantage over. There's none. I think that St. Augustine's the better team. But I think that Bird has the opportunity if they can get St. Aug to play their type of game, their type of football, especially if we get them at home, then St. Aug it's a good chance that they'll probably lose this game. We've seen St. Aug in the past get away from their mechanics, get away from what they do best. And that's been the case the last few years. It's not like they haven't had good teams. They pretty much have the same type of team they had the year before and the year before that, just with a different guy at quarterback. So St. Augustine is who we think they are. It's going to come down to can they execute at the end of the day. I think that JT Curtis is correct in terms of this being a tough game for St. Augustine. But I said that when the brackets came out, I didn't like that they were on the same side. I feel like every team on this side, including John Curtis and Scotlandville and Burke, all of big matchups. The only team that I didn't feel as good about was Shaw, and that's not a dig at you, but
Right, right.
everyone else, what I'm saying, and maybe what they said across, uh, matches well against St. Augustine because they don't have anyone on that team that dominates at that moment. They have a lot of good players, but so does the other
Hmm.
team. So it's just going to come down to how well they can execute. But the key that we should look out for in that game is who's going to win in the trenches. Whoever wins in the trenches is going to win this game. Skill positions, they come in dime a dozen. They do that. Both teams do that. But whoever's going to win that line of scrimmage is going to win this game, and I think win handily.
Okay, so you predicting a St. Aug win?
I think St. Augustine's going to win. I'm going to say that.
Okay. So do you think it's a close ball game? So if you got talented athletes on both sides.
Yeah, I think it's going to come down to like I said, whoever won the line of scrimmage, and obviously with every game, whoever doesn't commit as many turnovers as the other team. So I mean, the turnover game is going to be important. Hopefully, the weather's okay, so that won't be a factor. But this wouldn't be the first time that St. Augustine's had to match up against Bird. Bird came down to St. Augustine, I want to say maybe 3 seasons ago and played. It wasn't close. But that's not the same team. This Bird team, again, matter of fact, those kids are now seniors on this team.
Wow.
Um, right. So I think I think they kind of know the history of it, and it's gonna be it's gonna be a tough sledding for the Purple Knights without a doubt.
Okay. Now, John Curtis has to go to Scotlandville. Is Scotlandville in trouble, or Scotlandville going to shock the world?
This might be an unpopular opinion. I'm gonna say it like this. I think that Scotlandville wins this game, but 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 it is extreme. But only if they can. I think most teams can be, especially this year, will be able to defeat John Curtis if they can be disciplined. We all know that Bureau is not complicated. You know, every once in a while they put some real quality athletes in the bid, and then it looks astronomical. But that's not the case this year.
Right.
They have okay players. They have decent players like everyone else in the league. Um, but if Scotlandville can stay ahead of the sticks and keep John Curtis in third and long, it's going to be a tough day. I think it's Buddy Taylor is their quarterback. It's going to be a tough sledding for him in terms of what it is that he can do from a throwing perspective. We all know he can run the ball, but if they have to get into a situation where they have to throw the ball and Scotlandville can score, which we know they can, I think this is gonna be a win for Scotlandville. You can matter of fact, you can mark that one down.
He say mark it down for
Mark it
Scotlandville.
down. Mark it down for Scotlandville.
I'm going to stick with the John Curtis Patriots. And you said the key word discipline. Yes,
Discipline.
Scotlandville is undefeated. They haven't lost a game, but staying disciplined to stop that veer option attack, I think, will be a little bit too much for them come this game. And Curtis will move on to the semifinals in Division One. All right. Brother Martin against Jesuit. Jesuit just came off a big win against St. Paul's in the first round. Now they get to play that that dangerous offense from Brother Martin, one of the best offenses in the state. Who do you
Mhm.
have?
Um, I'm going to go with Brother Martin. I have a good feeling about this. I think that Brother Martin's offense is too efficient for to be contained. So unless Jesuit plays some, puts forth some type of Herculean effort to slow down that RPO offense, it's going to be a long day for them. So I'm gonna go with Brother Martin advancing into the semis.
I know Coach Scott Bain's father is trying to develop a game plan to contain Brother Martin offense, but he's not going to defeat his former pupil come tomorrow. Coach Mark Bonice, to me, is an offensive mind, and to me, one of the best offensive coaches in the state. And he has his best team ever at Brother Martin, and
Mm-hmm.
they've gotten close for the past couple of years to the championship. Got to the semis and lost a couple times. And I know he does not want to have that feeling again. He's going to beat Jesuit, and he's going to go to the semifinals. And he's going to face either Rummel or Catholic of Baton Rouge, the rematch of last year's state championship. Man, wow. Unbelievable that this is happening early.
Again, early,
Yeah,
right?
early. I'm gonna start it off. Rummel is a great team. Great team. To me, they got the best running back in the state, Logan Diggs.
I
They have
agree.
talented play. They have talented players. When they played Curtis and when they played Jesuit, trying Well, giving Logan Diggs the ball on run plays didn't work. Didn't work. He got stuffed both of those games, Jesuit and against Curtis. So now you got to be more creative in ways of giving your best player, your best playmaker, the ball. And you can't
Mhm.
run screens or send them out wide, quick slants, hook patterns, or whatever. If you can't find ways to get him the ball, Rummel is in trouble. Rummel will be in trouble. Okay, because these defenses, they're game planning on stopping Logan Diggs from running and telling them beat us by throwing.
Correct.
You got to get the playmaker the ball in other situations, other ways. And if Rummel doesn't do that, Calico Baton Rouge will win this game. But I am sticking with Rummel that they will find a way to get Logan Diggs the ball in open space and just let him do what he is capable of doing, and that's creating magic.
Well, I agree. I think we talked about this about getting Logan Diggs the ball in various ways. And again, obviously, the kid's a talented runner, talented playmaker. But everybody knows that. I know that. You know that. If this
Yes.
is my first game being a defensive coordinator, that would be my primary goal. So with that being said, with two teams that are so equally matched, I think that it's gonna be crucial that they find another Logan Diggs the ball. But JB, I don't know if that's going to happen. I mean, if you're asking me my pick, I am going with Catholic in the upset.
I can see why you're going with Catholic. I can totally see it.
Yeah.
Trust me, I do. And trust me, it's on Catholic's mind of last year. We lost to these boys for the state championship when we had the lead going into the fourth quarter. They
Hmm.
want revenge. They want revenge, and Rummel has to go to their house Friday night. So I'm expecting a good ball game. You say Catholic, I say Rummel. Now, let's go to 4A. Let's go to Class 4A. We're going to start with the four-time defending state champions, the Edna Carr Cougars, who will play at Hospital Stadium this Friday night at 7 o'clock against the Estruma Indians right outside of Baton Rouge.
Hmm.
Um, Carr?
Well, so I'm gonna abstain from making a pick. I'm actually covering this game tomorrow.
Okay,
Um,
good deal. Good
so
deal.
I'm already, I'm excused from making this actual pick. However, I can't give you my take on the game. I think that obviously the world knows Carr's extremely talented. Struma has an uphill battle when it comes to this. So this is truly going to be a David versus Goliath incidents. With obviously what Carr is going to be the Goliath. I mean big Goliath. I ain't talking about little Goliath. I mean big Goliath. And so it just remains to be seen. But I totally expect um, the talent thing to show up in this regard. But it remains to be seen. What do you think?
I think Carr will win this game. I think AJ Samuel will have a big game. It's just to me, too much of a talent gap between the two. Between the two, obviously Struma is up and coming, 15 Cs, so they're making strides to get better. But I mean, 4A has been Edna Carr's division, for a very very long
I mean,
time.
the
They've been
state
to
the state has
this.
belonged in the car for the last
Yes,
decade.
yes,
So,
that's exactly. So this is going to be, uphill battle for Struma. I'm sure they're up to the task. I'm sure they want to, you know, pull off the upset, but I don't think it's going to happen. But Edna Carr
mhm.
gets the win, and as y'all just saw, Dashone Dunomes is like Kirk Herbstreit on College Game Day when he doesn't give a pick on the game he has to call.
Yeah, right. So I don't want nobody's parents calling, saying that this guy was biased and his
Right,
writing things of that nature. So
right. I got it. I understand. Bell Chase with the upset win over Carver last week. They're gonna host 10th
yeah,
seed Eunice. Eunice taking a almost a 2 hour trip, maybe two and a half because I gotta go to Bell Chase.
right.
Um, what's your thoughts?
Listen, I didn't the bell chase game really guard against I'm sorry against Culver. Caught me off guard. I wasn't expecting that. Obviously, none of us
I
picked
don't
that
think no
game.
one was.
Yeah, so and it wasn't, a 14-16 game. This is 35-14. I mean, 3 touchdowns. So I think that spoke more to George Washington Carver than it had something to do with Bell Chase. However, I expect Eunice to win this game, but I am going to ride with Bell Chase on this one because I don't have to call this game. So if I was a gambling man, I'm going with Bell Chase.
Ooh, okay. He's going with Bell Chase.
And
Now,
the upset, biggest
okay,
upset.
another upset at home. Bell Chase at home. Now,
Yeah.
I don't know. You might know. I don't know if you know who the head coach of Eunice is. I don't know if it's the same guy that been there for years or happened to be a new coach. I don't know. I know the guy that coached Eunice when Chad played there was the guy that coached Eunice when he went to the Dome against Curtis years before that, and they ran the Veer. So I don't
Mm-hmm.
know if anything changed. If they got a new head coach. I don't know. I guess I got to do some research with that. But man, something is telling me that Eunice is coming to Bell Chase and getting a win, and we'll go back
Well,
to
Paul,
Eunice and
Paul
maybe
is
host.
yeah. Well, you were right. So he's been there since 2004.
Okay, Paul. What's his last name?
Uh, According to Max Preps, his name. Sorry, not there. That guy's not there. He's not there. They have a
Gotcha.
different. Looks like. Well, I don't know. It's so strange. Maybe they haven't updated the coach. I'm looking at Max Preps. And they have Paul Clare. I think that's his. He's coach from
Oh,
2004
that's
to 11, but they still have him listed as the head coach.
wow.
So
Okay,
I
so
don't I
that
don't know.
Paul Trosclair, that's the guy. That is his name. We just
Yeah,
don't know if he's still there or not. Okay, cool deal.
right.
Cool deal. He he has Bell Chase. I have Eunice. Yes, indeed. Should have saw them Bell Chase people in Hooters last week. They showed up after that win. They were there.
Man, they're going to show. Yeah, 'cause, I mean, they have a really good fan base. Believe it or not, man. Really
They
good
do.
food. I've covered several games at Bell Chase. So
Coach Stephen Myers doing good things over there. Um, Saturday night, Landry Walker, Warren Easton. I'm gonna let you go first.
all right. So before their fan base jumps gun, we're gonna go ahead and address them properly. The LB Landry Buccaneers
That
taking
is right.
on Warren Seniors. Okay. However,
Yes, yes.
I've covered Landry and Easton plenty of times this year. I think that obviously Easton has the better team. I think that Landry, um, they got some pieces to fill in. They play good games when they can get to when Eric clicking at one time, or if their big playmakers decide to make big plays, then it can be competitive. I don't think that Warren Easton loses this game at all. I don't think it's going to be uh, such a huge gap in terms of scoring, or it was going to be a beatdown. But I do think Warren Easton, especially if they get started quickly, Landry won't recover. They've shown that every time they've been down, they don't have the urge to fight. Coach Keaton Lewis, he has his work out for him against Warren Easton. Jarryd Phillips is running a really good program for the Eagles, and
Right.
as always, they're a high flying offense. Landry does not have the defense to keep up with that. But I've seen Easton a few times this year against teams that have even less players on defense, like not show up. I mean, like not produce. But Easton in the victory. Way too many playmakers. I can't. I'd be foolish to bet that way.
Understood. It's very well noted that when every new season starts off, Warren Easton starts off slow, but they get better and better and better as the year goes on. And I think the LB Landry Buccaneers are in trouble.
Yeah.
Coach Coach Phillips to me is a marvelous coach, and the
Mm-hmm.
job he has done has been astounding. He just can't get over Carr. That's the only obstacle is beating Carr.
You know why though? It's the same. So you mentioned earlier that Carr. has pretty much owned 4A, right?
Correct.
And they own 4A because they remind me of what they got going on in Tampa Bay, like no risk it, no biscuit type deal. So they're gonna throw the ball all the time. Is gonna be pedal to the metal, that type of offense. Well, guess what? Warren Easton is the exact same team. The
Yeah.
problem is somebody has to give. There's never you very rarely see two teams throwing up and down the field back and forth. One of y'all got a good defense.
Yeah.
It just always happens to be Carr. Plenty of times, Carr, like literally, Warren Easton has had Carr in the water, but would do the same thing that Carr does. Carr probably put more teams away with 0 goose eggs on the board if they didn't throw the ball unnecessarily. Like run the
Mm-hmm.
ball. There are like 12 running backs over there. They can start for pretty much any other team in that league,
Yeah.
But yet, it's just we down the field. It's third and 3, go route. It's second and 1, go route. And it's cool. No, high risk, high reward, but that's the reason Easton can't overcome Carr. They literally are coaching. I know it's like they're having a ego contest on the sidelines when they're going to call and plays. It's weird. It's a very strange thing to watch. It's almost nerve upsetting.
Man, what about the championship game last year when Easton got the turnover and they're down by 1, and there's a lot of time on the clock, and Coach Phillips goes for a bomb on the first play and throws an interception.
It's the same. To be totally honest, I don't dislike that call. That wasn't even my issue with that call because normally when you've made a turnover, the that's your time to take a shot right
Mm-hmm.
there. Everybody's focused in, they locked in at the line of scrimmage. Let's throw over the top. It just didn't work out. But I think just as well as I knew that, I think that obviously Carr's coach Bryce Brown, I think he knew that as well. Prepared his team forward. So I'm not upset with that. It just that was horrible how that but it could have been won earlier had they not, decided to have a who can throw for the most yards contest.
Hey, let's go back 2 years ago. If our boy, I can't think of his name, QB 1-star, and he's at Maryland, quarterback for
Uh,
Easton.
Lance Lejeune.
If Lance Lejeune doesn't get hurt in that state championship game,
Easton
all we
wins.
saying, yeah, exactly. Easton wins.
There's no 5 going on. He was a different type of kid, man. Like that was a man playing that quarterback. The only issue is that he's fragile. I mean, he would get hurt. I mean, Carr got some guys.
Oh
They
yeah,
got some dudes. They not just good offensively. They're good defensively. I think you could check their roster. And I ain't talking about just real pretty defects. You know what I mean? Like these guys
right.
that put out linebackers, defensive linemen. I mean, for a while they were pumping out defensive linemen, like interior linemen, like a factory.
Mm-hmm.
So Carr has and they're big. They're not a little team. It's a lot of those guys. And Lance, I think the mistake that Coach Phillips made, well, not say mistake. The issue is that they relied so heavily on Lance,
Yeah,
and there was so many other stars on that team.
exactly.
But it was built around Lance.
Oh
So
yeah,
why not? I mean, he got you there. But that was just when you have that type of offense. But I mean, he was definitely a different guy. I can't wait to see what he does in an opportunity over at Maryland.
correct. I am with you. Warren Easton will, in my opinion, defeat the LB Landry Buccaneers and move on to the quarterfinals. They'll face either Tioga or North DeSoto. And it's kind of weird seeing Tioga as a high seed, a 3
Yeah,
seed. But
yeah,
that is weird. But I'm gonna roll with Tioga over North DeSoto.
I agree. I didn't get to see too much this year. I know a guy that graduated from there, and like they don't have good teams often. So this is just different. Matter of fact, he hadn't even said anything recently. But he graduated from there, older guy. Um, and it's a home game, so I expect Tioga to come out with the victory. But I think they're gonna run into a buzzsaw next week.
Oh yeah, big time, big time. Now to the other side of the bracket, and we kind of talked about this on the VK Jones show. Westgate and Neville. Westgate traveling to Neville. I said it. I said Westgate always got talent.
Mm-hmm.
Always.
Always.
The problem is they'll get to the second round and lose, or sometimes they've gotten to the semis and lose. This game's gonna say a lot about Westgate if they can get the win. Because if they get the win, it's gonna be hard for me to say Westgate not going to the semis.
Okay.
Hard.
Yeah.
But they're going to perennial power Neville. Perennial power. Neville, Carr, Warren Easton. That's pretty much the top tier for 4A, those three. And I believe Westgate went to Neville last year in the second round and was up by 10 going into the fourth quarter. And Neville came back and won. I'm going to stick with what I said with Neville getting to the championship. I'm going to stick with it. But I would not be surprised if Westgate wins this game.
I think if this game was at Westgate, um, my odds would be more in favor of Westgate. But they're traveling to them. Not that they haven't, played them before at Neville. I believe too much in Neville, kind of like you.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with your pick from the get go in terms of Neville going back to the Dome. So I think that that Neville takes care of business and sends Westgate home with another disappointing second round loss.
All right. He says Neville. I say Neville. Leesville against Minden. I'm going with Leesville.
I agree. I only seen Leesville once last week, but I said that last week. I actually predicted Northwood to beat Leesville last week, but last week showed a lot of weakness for Leesville. So Minden might can find some type of offense there, but I don't expect them to be much of a contest for Leesville. So I'm gonna go with Leesville as well, but I'm not. I wasn't impressed at all.
Gotcha. Huntington against Plaquemine. Who you got?
This is another toss up game.
Yeah.
I'm going. Is that Plaquemine? Is that Plaquemine? I'm going to. My gut is telling me to stick with Plaquemine. I mean, both of these teams blew out their previous opponent. I mean, it wasn't even close.
Right.
But they're the same team. So I think that I think Plaquemine comes out with a close victory. That's just an educated guess.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not too sure either way.
I'm going with the visiting team. I'm going with Huntington. I think Huntington comes down and gets the victory.
Okay.
And then the number one seed, Karen Crow versus the Ritter. I think the Karen Crow Bears get the job done.
Yeah, not even close.
All right. All right. So we're going to move on to the last bracket we're going to talk about on this show for today. And that's going to be Division 2. And let's start with De La Salle versus Turlings Catholic. Can De La Salle get by Turlings Catholic?
Can they? Yes. Will they? I mean, that remains the scene. I mean, they have a stable of running backs over at De La Salle. I think that Coach Ryan Manley has done a great job in corralling talent as he done the last few years.
Mm-hmm.
But they always do this, right? We get here and there's some game that they're supposed to win, and then they lay down or they don't execute it. They get away from their game plan. So I think if De La Salle comes out to play De La Salle football, I don't think Charlie Catholic will be victorious. But again, this team, historically has always found ways to win. But I'm gonna go with De La Salle in a victory. Moving on to the semis.
All right. I'm going with De La Salle too. I think there's going to be too much, too many weapons that they will have for Turlings
Mhm.
Catholic in this game. I say De La Salle gets by. Edie White versus Archbishop Hannon. I'm gonna go with the Bayou Boys. Edie White.
Yeah, I agree. I was getting ready to say that. I think the Edie White has too much for Hannon, regardless of what that season says.
Gotcha. University Lab against Vanderbilt Catholic. I'm going with University Lab.
Yeah, I couldn't see a reason to disagree with that. Vanderbilt Catholic is coached well, but the Catamounts have nothing for University Lab.
Gotcha. And then We have Parkview Baptist versus St. Thomas More.
Mhm.
It's hard to go against the defending champions, STM. It's hard. Ah, STM all the way.
I agree with you. I think STM does get the victory, but as they say in college game day, is to be closer than the experts think. I think this game comes down to the fourth quarter. I don't by no stretch of the imagination do I think it's going to be an easy game for St. Thomas More, but I believe that that's too good of a team to not be victorious in this.
Gotcha. Now, before we end the show, I have a question for you that maybe you can answer. So
Shoot.
we had the non-select and the select, and the non-select will play all their championships in the Superdome. The select, they can't come to an agreement for the second year in a row on where to play their championship games. And with that being said, whoever is the highest seed in the championship round can decide where to host it. What is your opinion about that?
So I guess from a fan's perspective, I think that I think it's selfish to be honest. I think that the LHSAA they need to you got to come to some type of agreement. You have more than enough time to figure this out. Like set a mandate, stick to it, revisit it again. In 2 years. But this would be something that's already handled. I think that most of the institutions involved um, kind of have an idea, especially a team that thinks that they might make it to the dome where they want to host the championship. But that's gonna be strange. I mean, you take a team that's from the city if they win, like what do you want to host it at? At Southeastern. Like ideally, you want to play this inside of a dome because there's no weather elements involved. At this point, each team has an equal footing. Now, granted, in higher levels of football is the case, but if you look at the Saints, that's why they want they try so hard for home field advantage because you want to play in a dome.
Correct.
But you've seen bowl games with it snowed, or you've seen bowl games with a torrential downpour, and that affects the outcome of some things that probably should be handily won that wasn't make the games a lot closer. But I don't like it, JB, at all. I don't like the fact that it's something that's up in the air. You don't know. You can't make travel plans. You're not sure where you're traveling to. If I know the championship in New Orleans and we're going regardless, we're going. But if we're not sure when and then where they're going to pick it, then what? And it's not like the championship game is 3 weeks out, like kind of like the Sugar Bowl is from the end of the regular season. It's like it's the next week. It's the
Right,
next week. What if the
exactly.
game is up north? So I think that's that it serves well for smaller schools because they don't have to worry about the travel expense or things they can play it at home. They don't get a lot of fans anyway. But I just think that they're selling the bus short, to be honest.
Well, I would like it to where they would make a decision. I would like it. But I'm going to say this. I'm gonna use STM for an example. So Division II championship is STM versus De La Salle. STM says we're playing right here at STM.
Right.
Can you blame any school for earning that opportunity to host a championship game and to play it at their home? I can't blame nobody. I can't. Because if I was a coach, maybe I would do the same thing. Give us give us the advantage. We ain't gotta travel nowhere. They gotta
Right.
travel from wherever and come to us and try to win on our field. Can't say that I like it because you usually at a neutral site, the Superdome, but it is what it is.
Right.
Number two, I don't remember the schools last year in Division 4, but the team that was the highest seed, you know what that coach did? That coach asked his kids, where do y'all want to play? And those kids said the Superdome. Because every kid in Louisiana that plays high school football has a
Mhm.
dream
So,
to play in the dome.
Right.
To play in the dome.
Like you don't wanna play like your semifinal game, it's at home. You want that push, the grease to the. But ultimately, it's because you want to play in the dome. You want to
That's
go,
right.
play in front, a whole bunch of people, and everyone gets to come out. And I get it. I get why there was such pushback because some of these games over the previous years, regardless of who's in the dome, some of these fans have not traveled. I mean, I covered a game. I was writing for another game, and I want to say it was like it may have been a Division III championship or Division II championship. Was playing right behind it, and I didn't even know. I thought they were practicing. It was like, but to their credit, it was at 10 o'clock in the morning. It was like it may it may have been one. People were just waking up. A lot of fans hadn't even made their game and started late that night, so it's a bit different. I get everyone gets to eat cake and you want 9 championships like they do in Texas, but it kind of dilutes the product when you do that.
Yeah, I wish they would go back to everybody into one class 1, 2, 3, 4, 5A, and we would get some of the best teams to play the other best teams. I mean,
Right.
who doesn't want to see a Brother Martin against Acadiana or Caliga Baton Rouge against Zachary, stuff like that. I feel like we're being robbed of the best games, and that's just my opinion. Hopefully, one day we'll get back to where we used to be.
But I
But
want,
until
but I, but I want those bigger teams to stay in their bigger divisions. Like I never thought it was fair that Curtis plays in the two. Who are they playing? Are you playing in 2A? Who are you playing? You got
right,
25 state titles in majority of them in 2A. Like you have
yeah,
enough talent to play with the biggest teams in the state. Like you're dynasty to me. Beat those teams. Year in and year out.
yeah,
Beat the top
exactly,
five year in and year out.
yeah.
Carbon, like you said, has pretty much owned 4A because you imagine if they were in 2A, like what they would do.
Oh Lord.
It's not even enough kids on that team. And I have nothing against the division selects how they want to do that, but I think that especially the Division I select, I think a lot of those teams belong in obviously in 5A, a 5A
Yes.
parent. I think that they'll make their product that much more better. Right now, 4A is just running away with, from a talent perspective of like what's a good game and what's not.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you just need, 5A, 4A. And if you want to have smaller schools have select, I get that part because it's not comparable in terms of a talent base or as far as a numbers base. But you don't need 9 different classifications.
Correct. I agree 100% with you. But we will see what the future holds. Hopefully, one day go back. If not, this is what it is. There's no
Right.
makes no sense to continue to argue about it.
Right.
It's here. So, but for my man, Dashone Dunomes, I'm Jarryd JB Boyd. Thank y'all for watching the Hash House Show. We'll catch you next week. Might have another guest also on this show. My boy VK Jones might be joining us. But
Right.
until then, enjoy the games tomorrow. Peace.